Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named LunariaN titled Proclamation Phantoms. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track on YouTube. Just got a little bit of info to go through here before we continue. This is the lyric video of the first single from the album Refined Anomalium. This album, by the way, is being released on June 30th. So if you're watching this after June 30th, 2023, feel free to go check it out via the various digital streaming platforms that this will be on, I'm sure. LunariaN are Revelino Ismaya, Eki Satyawan, Emmanuel Willie, and Anink Edison. Music and lyrics by Revelino Ismaya. Produced by LunariaN, mixed and mastered by Jeffro Lackscheid, and in video by Martin Rigg. So we're going to listen through this track from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. I'm loving the vocals and it like a jovial theme to it with synths. Marlene, I just love the intro we've got here. It leaves you wondering what's going to happen next with that intrigue with the voiceover there. It's great. You know, there's a lot going on there. I wonder how we're going to switch it up. Yeah, man, rock and roll. I like the fact we're messing around with different time signatures. I'm pretty sure we went outside of the 4/4 bit in this bridge part. Just the driving force of the guitars, the bass, and the drums with the really kind of catchy, enigmatic vocal style. And the charisma there is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, there's such a great unison with the various elements in that hook section, you know? Great backing vocals. Great intricacy with the different riffs and variety with the chord progressions and harmonies. Because it's not just the guitar parts though, there's a great range with the percussive elements there, going from like the cymbal focuses to the tom fills, etc., and the bass line just with the kind of that fizzy distortion on it. It's great. And again, bagpipes. Well, not necessarily bagpipes, but like, that could be, but traditional kind of like woodwind instruments. I mean, like, and you had to be so tight. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware of this listening to it, but to be able to come in exactly at the same time after everything stopped within a regular pace to it, it's very difficult for a band to do unless they're extremely tight. I don't know what the song's about after listening through the lyrics. And, I know it's a lyric video. There's just a bit of nuance there. So I'm probably going to do the conclusion after I've had another listen through the lyrics. And then we'll do the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track by LunariaN titled Proclamation Phantoms. What do I think this track's about? I mean, after looking through the lyrics again and taking my time with it, just simply, especially because they put the effort into making it a lyric video, I wanted to make sure I gave it my fair shot. My best guess is that basically we're preparing for battle with something, but the battles have changed over time, and I think we're accepting within this that maybe we don't have control over the situation that we're in or why we're fighting in the first place. Where there are parts where we talk about taking off our armor and putting on a different suit, so maybe it's like looking back on what we used to fight about and now what we fight for. That's comparing the conflicts that we've had, as well as there's like constant references to Mother Earth and like the center of the planet and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if it's simply trying to find a sense of equilibrium, not only with the conflicts that we have as human beings, but also like we're trying to be considerate for like the next generation, and we're trying to also look into the earth and figure out how we can kind of make peace with that as well, if that makes sense. The destruction on like maybe a natural level, or how our societal conflicts affect the planet. You know what I mean? That's basically my take on what this is about. Let me know if I've missed anything really important and in the comments. But look, with that out of the way, I think it's just simply because of the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on there in regards to storytelling. I think they're cool lyrics. I like the ideas and things that we're discussing. I just think I need more time to think about it to really kind of put the puzzles together. So it definitely has replay value, but I think the vocals as well are fantastic. The hook melodies are catchy, not only because they're in time and they're in pace with the guitar, bass, and drum bits that are going on there, but also that's the same in the bridge. But like it's a really easy to remember and identifiable concept, a theme there, and we smashed it. There's a great energy and charisma against the performance there. We're comfortable in head and chest voice, and the notes are on pitch and on point. And I think there's just also great character to it. We change our approaches as well with a more kind of breathy approach to the I suppose the bridge parts, and like we are acutely aware, like we in the interlude as well, we trying to change things and kind of had a bit more of a whole note kind of longer form kind of style of voicing ourselves. We adjusted the way we sang to suit the different parts of the song, so we're clearly aware of what needs to be done there. And that variety makes the singing very interesting to listen to, which makes the listener want to hear the story more, which kind of connects them really nicely together. And I think it's wrapped up in a nice little bow. So yeah, the vocals and the story are good. I think there is a passion in it that I really appreciate. And I also like the point at the start where they were talking about like flirting with danger, like we're going to flirt deadly, etc. I think that was probably the context I needed at first, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything ever, It's cool. It's cool stuff. I think it's great to have that sample at the beginning with those synths there. It's kind of like it's a way of introducing maybe like the main theme without being too aggressive about it, and then just you have the distorted guitars, bass, and drums smashing you in the face and pummeling you with their power, and it's cool. Because we obviously have a track where it's got a really fascinating structure to it. We had the intro sort of synthy section with the sample part talking about like the flirting with danger stuff. Like there's also references to he is watching us, so I'm wondering if that's like a god or something like that, battling under the grace of God or something like that. But then, of course, we came into that hook line there, and then we had, AB structures there until we got to the interlude, where we kind of played around with more of the bow down part, one of the components of the previous parts, and kind of elaborated on that, gave it more context. And then we just had this flute section, as you guys heard, and I think the flute section, we had one sort of solo instrument. I think the vocalist, the front man, is the one that does the pipes, if I'm not mistaken. So that was well handled. And I think it was nice to have several extra layers of that instrument added on as we went along. It wasn't everything at once. We gradually increased the tenacity of it, the oomph of it, the power, by kind of strengthening it with similar textures and timbres. And by the end of it, we basically we went back into that hook, I think the solos, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, we basically had that solo section, after everything. That's just how much stuff there is in this track. There's like a come on, everything goes, everything will fall down. Then there's like a guitar solo, and then there's the flute or the pipe solo, and then you have like the interlude, or like the pre-chorus, and then you have the final hook section to finish things out. There's so much in 4 minutes. There's definitely enough to keep most listeners entertained and interested. And the transitions between each of the parts are seamless, which indicates that this act have got a fundamental understanding of music theory and composition, and also they had a clear vision for what they wanted to approach with this. If I wanted to sort of break down the individual components to it, I think that the guitars, when they were there, were lovely and kind of like, they were powerful with those power chords and sort of those sort of simple kind of rock and roll riffs that layered well amongst everything else. The lead lines were, they didn't overplay. They were pocketing a little bit. I'm sure they could really shoot if they wanted to, but it was more about the aesthetic rather than showing how well you can play the 6 strings. So I think there was great control in the guitars, whilst also allowing for those kind of chuggy riffs there, the big oomph behind them, like to fizz along with everything else in the hooks and etc. Bass line was nice and thick and strong sounding as well, very kind of like prominent in certain parts, and I'm wondering if they did parallel compression with that, where they had to dry in like the effects chain. But it's a really strong bass line working with those root notes and pushing forward. The drums, as I mentioned in the review, there's a great diversity and variety of different drum fills and hi-hat grooves there. We knew to pull away sometimes simply to allow for other instruments to kind of like have the focal point, and sometimes we had more of a tom focus to just kind of get rid of some of the high end there, or high mid end, just to allow a bit more of a kind of more sort of almost hand drumish kind of ye olden day focus, especially with those kind of Celtic elements there. In that flute solo section. I think that was grand. There's just lots of different ideas there to really flesh out the purpose of percussion in the first place, and we were definitely not lacking in regards to rhythm and grooves. Again, we had the solo with the flutes and everything like that, or the woodwinds there, which was charming. I know I originally said it was bagpipes because it kind of had that tone there, and it might be, it might not. I'm wrong. If I'm wrong either way, I'll obviously own that. But I think that it was such a great palette cleanser from the distorted parts and the hook, and even like the part after the chorus there. With the guitar solo. It was unexpected and kind of maybe provided a little bit more context for like the battle cry that we had at the start of the track, with those elements there. And there wasn't really any filler in this, I don't think we could have added any instruments to this or taken any away without it being a detriment. So there was a great balance there in regards to the arrangement and the composition. I think in addition to everything we've got here with the way the instruments were played, because there was a very competent vocal performance here. There were even some backing vocals, I think, occasionally in the high and falsetto. They really charmed the higher ranges with, usually you might put like extra sort of synth parts or keys there. I mean, like the first part with the synths that I haven't spoken about yet, that's the final part, I suppose, of the composition stage. It was just simply, and there was a sense of ambiguity and trepidation there. Even though it was kind of pretty sounding, it was also like, wow, we're about to go to battle, what's going to happen next? So for us to go straight into the kind of like the rock elements there was dope. And I suppose finally, without a note out of place, the main theme overall sounded defiant, but it also was like, keep your heads down, stay humble, we have work to do, but also we are imperfect. And I suppose it's trying to deal with the complexity of not only the lyrics and the story that it's trying to tell, but also just the concept of not being totally in control of everything and having to fight different battles even if you're not necessarily responsible for them. Working as phantoms behind the scene, keeping things quiet in the meantime, simply to not draw attention to yourself and to be able to have the best chance for success in whatever you're trying to accomplish. So yeah, I think the theme made sense with the lyrics, and the vocals made sense for the story, and everything was connected. I don't think there were any issues there. When finally the recording, mixing, mastering, studio production, the vocals were great. The guitars, bass, drums, flutes, anything else, since they were nicely notched and filtered and EQ'd. Things were nice and wide in the stereo fields. The music sounded like it surrounded you. There were no issues with resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. Things were leveled really well in the mix. There was dynamic range to it, so things weren't the same loudness all the time. And this track was still nice and loud without pumping, so the limiting compression was handled. I mean, effectively, this is a really fascinating track. I haven't heard LunariaN before, but I think that they definitely know how to write a killer hook line, and I really hope that they continue to flesh out things with their music and continue to produce more, and best of luck to them on their latest album. Again, the album's name, of course, being Refined Anomalium, which is out on June 30th, so by the time this video goes on my channel, it'll be already released, so feel free to go check the links in the description to check that out. But thank you very much for watching my review of this track by LunariaN titled Proclamation Phantoms. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show us some love via the various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.